Welcome, everybody. As she mentioned, today it's all going to be about joint discomfort, inflammation, degeneration, issues that a lot of us deal with. We're going to be compliant and not say the word like arthritis, but I can say it because I'm a doctor and I'm talking about actual conditions in the body. And then we're going to talk about how your body deals with that and what your body is trying to do, and it might not be able to do it very well, hence why certain issues with many of us continue to get worse with time. Now, we are representing a biotech company called ASEA, and these redox signaling molecules are one of the greatest miracle products that I have ever found in 30 years as a chiropractor and a brain and spinal trauma specialist. And you will soon understand why that is, but this truly is a great breakthrough. Now, we're not going to be here talking about how to treat, diagnose, cure any of these conditions. We're talking about how your body does that, okay, and how your body allows the things to get out of hand, and what's the mechanism of action and how your body tries to deal with that. So when we work with our own body's natural abilities, it only makes sense that our body will be able to do the job better. Okay, and so let me go ahead and begin. Or we do have a nice slideshow for you today. As I mentioned, it's about redox signaling, which is something that our body creates, and joint wellness for today. So let me just do a little introduction about different kinds of issues we could have with our joints. Obviously, they all cause discomfort, okay? The brief overview of what this affects, but truly it affects millions and millions of people worldwide. Causes their joints to hurt, causes stiffness, and reduce ranges of motion, and basically reduces their quality of life. Now, redox molecules are a new cutting edge concept that we can talk about them outside of our body, but it's given hope to so many people who suffer from discomfort in their joints. And so this lecture is really designed to introduce you to the concepts of this fascinating connection between redox signaling and our own body's ability to manage our joint health. So when we talk about just the condition called arthritis, there's so many different types. I'm going to talk about just two basic types that most people are familiar with. Now, the first type, it's called osteoarthritis, which just means arthritis of the bones. And this is typically weight-bearing joints. Let's say a misaligned knee joint, for instance, and then you keep walking on it and it's rubbing and wearing in the wrong places, okay? That wear and tear is considered a form of osteoarthritis, okay? And it's just your body's adapting to the stress and trying to manage it, but if the problem keeps happening, it's gonna make it harder and harder for it to manage. So when we think of stiffness and achiness in joints, weight-bearing joints, we have to think of things like maybe the joint is not aligned properly, just like the tires on your car. If the alignment's off, you're going to wear through those tire treads super fast where they should last for years. Okay, so it's the same type of concept. We create this condition typically because of weight-bearing joints. Now, the other type that's very common amongst the world is something called rheumatoid arthritis, and this is more of a condition that attacks the blood. And so the blood then will attack the joints like you see in this picture. Usually it's fingers, toes, and then the joints start to work towards the trunk. So common things that we do for these, well, a lot of people, they're dealing with pain, stiffness, swelling, reduced motion in these joints, which, definitely affects their quality of life. And traditionally, people are using pain relievers. anti-inflammatories, physical therapy, and in some cases, surgery, and they replace the bones that have become degenerated or damaged. My own grandmother, I think, had more plastic bones in her body than real bones because she suffered from this her whole life since she was very young. And so that can be a very common treatment and an approach for that. What we're going to talk about today is what can our body do to get that leg up on these types of stresses on our joints and not let them get all the way to where they become so difficult to manage and reducing your quality of life. So we mentioned a word called redox signaling molecules right in the beginning, and that is what we're here to talk about. So it's reduction and oxidation is basically what it all boils down to. And health is nothing more than a dance of electrons around molecules within inside our body. If we have a lot of it, we're healthy. And if we don't, clearly we're going to get sick. So you've heard of antioxidant, you've heard of the word free radical and how this is probably not a good thing, even though being free is good and being radical can be good at sometimes. But that term basically means something. So if we look at the diagram here, an antioxidant, it's just a sheriff with a bunch of things in its belt that it can donate and use those tools to subdue a criminal or somebody that needs to be taken down. Now, a free radical is something that's missing its bond. And so it's free and it's acting a little radical because it really wants its partner back. So the antioxidant is nothing more than a molecule that donates electrons. And it's going to donate the proper electron that that free one is missing. It's either positive or negative, but it's accumulation of those that become dangerous to throw everything off as far as the chemistry in our body. So at the end of the day, we are nothing more than fluid-filled sac that has trillions of chemical reactions taking place every second. And it's these redox molecules that are constantly neutralizing the stresses that keep flowing in and not letting them cascade like a magnet and pull more and more and more of that stress and take out tissues and take out systems. So we live and die by redox molecules. In fact, so many of these connections take place every second, trillions a second that we're producing, but they're gone as fast as we make them. That's the nature of them. They're very volatile, but we need this chemistry inside of us to constantly be adapting to avoid inflammation, to avoid oxidation. Those are the only two kinds of stress that any of our joints feel, any of our cells in our body feel for that matter. So when we say redox signaling, it's the innate true nature of how our body communicates. It's constantly donating and giving electrons, sending electrical impulses down pathways by the form of exchanging electrons. And so this is what it all boils down to, and that's important for us to maintain our health. So what's this arthritis redox connection? How does that work? How does oxidative stress contribute to the onset or production of arthritic conditions in our body? Well, we have inside of our body, every cell, something called a mitochondria. Now, these mitochondria are the powerhouse of our cell. Where do we get energy from to literally energize every cell of our body? From the mitochondria. And what's coming out of those mitochondria are redox molecules, things like hydrogen, things like too much negative electrons build up in the cells, or too much positive hydrogen, I'm sorry, too much negative molecules build up in the cell. We produce the positive molecule of hydrogen to neutralize that stress, to keep things at homeostasis. Now, on the other side of the equation, if we have too much positive molecules built up in the cell, we're going to produce the negative molecule, oxygen, out of that mitochondria, and it's going to neutralize the positive stress. So these mitochondria are working so efficiently and so fast to constantly be giving out positive and negative electrons to keep any side from getting too high. Okay, that's what we call homeostasis. So again, we live and die by our ability to be able to exchange electrons and to keep the chemistry in our body neutral. When the chemistry gets off and we can't neutralize it, this is literally the beginning of dis-ease, discomfort, and dysfunction in our body. Without signaling, very little else happens. So what's the potential benefit when we make these redox molecules to help fight our conditions? Well, the first thing it's doing is it's reducing inflammation. That's how our body does it, by creating the opposite redox molecule to neutralize that stress. It's also going to support cellular repair and regeneration. These are the molecules that your body makes inside every joint, inside every tissue, to make sure we can repair that tissue and make it last its entire lifespan, however many days or weeks that is for that type of tissue. And then it's replacing itself. And of course, it's giving us that joint mobility. Okay, natural body's a process for healing and improving the mobility of our joints, and of course, reducing pain. So here's a summary of the things that we just spoke about and how it relates to our signaling. One second. Stereo, here we go. Sorry.
Inside every cell in your body.
You're constantly producing negative and positive molecules called oxidants and reductants. And the contraction of that name is redox.
So with these molecules, we're amping up that communication. We're helping that cell signal.
Without these cell signaling molecules, we simply wouldn't do the gene replication that we need, the DNA sequencing that we need. These redox signaling molecules interact throughout the body with every cell that we know.
Every cell in our body needs these molecules for communication purposes. The more balanced they are, the more abundant they are, the healthier we are.
ASEA actually has the combination of the oxidants and the reductants that the body makes. So all we're doing with ASEA is enhancing what the body is already doing.
Having a product, a technology that's native to the body doesn't have to worry about detoxifying it because it knows exactly what to do with redox molecules. It's one of, if not the safest recommendation I ever make to a patient.
They found a way to stabilize them outside the body. And you can actually put them back into bodies that are deficient in those molecules. That's a game changer.
To have something that at its molecular level is native to the body is nothing short of a breakthrough.
This is something that's foundational for health, for every cell. It affects every cell in our body. And not just the cells, but the very DNA within those cells. You know, we talk about the discovery of DNA as being a huge breakthrough, the discovery of penicillin. Yes, these were absolutely huge discoveries, but now we have something that actually goes even deeper.
So that was a beautiful illustration of what it is that we have here with ASEA. And this is so different from anything else that we truly have ever seen. Oh, sorry, I lost the screen here. Let me share it. And in fact, what ASEA has accomplished is what everybody for decades said is impossible. You just can't do what you say that you're doing. And what they did was take something that our body makes as these molecules that only last for 100th or a trillionth of a second from the time that you make it. They've been able to create those molecules outside the body, as they just mentioned in there. And that truly is got to be one of the greatest medical breakthroughs of our entire lifetime. So here's how they do it. They start with pristine saline. This is what the hospital would give you if you came in and you're dehydrated, because this is the molecules that our blood and our body makes to keep us hydrated. Now, we don't break it down in our blood further than that. We actually take it from the mitochondria and put it together to create it. And then that becomes what it is to keep us hydrated. So these start with the purest of the saline, the purest water and the saline, and they put it through this technology, which has 7 patents and 7,000 trade secrets, to be able to basically take a simple process of 4 molecules, break them apart through electrolysis, and then spin them up a much bigger hill than they came down. And the miracle here is that we stabilized it. So literally inside this bottle has all the exact same molecules that are coming out of that mitochondria. Here's the difference. These are going to stay stable for 2 years in this bottle. And anytime they touch something organic, they are immediately going in, turning things on, activating, and helping the body do what it's supposed to do. Self-heal, self-replicate more cells when these cells get damaged. These are the molecules that your cells make at the root of everything to fight the very first kind of stress a cell would have: oxidation or inflammation. And so this is absolutely a truly amazing product. It's not just for oxidation and inflammation. It's literally for every function of every cells are using these molecules that you make. So these are native to the body, which means your body is impossible to not recognize it. Okay, it has an open invitation. It's got the janitor key to get into any door in any cell anywhere. They're very tiny molecules, highly active, and easily cascade effect once they enter the cell into all the neighboring cells to be able to share what it is that's happening. Now, the great thing about this wonderful product is it also comes in a gel, twice as concentrated as drinking it. Now, drinking it affects all cells, all function of your body. These are what the molecules are being made to do. In the gel, it's renewing the surface of your skin every 28 days. Your skin replaces itself in 28 days. But here's the thing. So many of us have joint discomfort, and the joint itself is not dependent on blood flow because it's a fluid sac that surrounds the joint. And guess what? It's filled with redox chemistry to repair and to replace the tissues in those joints on the fly, because again, a lot of them are weight bearing, and so you have to constantly be healing the irritation and the friction and the things that are being caused. So this gel can be rubbed into any joint of the body and actually bring comfort and reduce inflammation and help stop the oxidative stress that continues to attack the tissues in that area. And if you can't keep up with that oxidative stress, guess what? It's going to wear out, and then you're going to have one of those things they call a condition. And it might be one of those conditions that we spoke of. Well, a beautiful thing is ASEA has recently come out with another redox product that's infused with monatomic gold, which is a noble gold. It doesn't donate or give electrons. That's why gold doesn't rust. And this one literally drives it down one pathway, and it's the pathway that stops oxidative stress. So not every key of the keyboard for every function in the body, it's for one function: reduce inflammation, stop stress. Okay, and so on a healthy cell, it'll increase the activity of the switch that does that by 70%. And if the cell's damaged, it could actually improve it by 280%. So this is like laser focus right into those areas of discomfort. We see the pain and the discomfort, or the heat and the discomfort, change within 15 minutes. All the pink and red are very hot, and obviously the green and blue are within your normal ranges. So your health is everything, and it begins with redox. Whether you found this product or not, it always begins with redox within your own body. So now we have such amazing tools to help us reverse some of the processes that are happening in our body, and because we're losing the battle of keeping up with the stress, and actually initiate newfound recovery and repair and replacement of tissues that otherwise you would never have the resources to be able to make better versions of those cells. So we have two gels. One of them is surface, all function, all cells. That skin's replaced every 28 days. It grows from the bottom up. The other one is more laser focused deep into any area of your body that may be dealing with oxidation or inflammation. And you're going to see relief come real quickly, and then relax comes. And then it's all about repair. For a day or two, it's going to continue to get in there to those tissues and repair them. So we have a beautiful family of redox molecule products. One of them is very targeted just for that inflammation and discomfort. And then the other ones are more global function, all cells, just delivery mechanisms in more concentrated versions of it to be able to deal with the stresses head on. So it truly is time for a breakthrough in cell signaling. When your cells signal, it gives them the ability to shine. And now is the time to let our cells shine. So this is the first and only redox supplement you'll ever see on the planet. We are in over 15 markets, I believe, 42 countries. We have people benefiting from the use of this product. It's been over 15 years, 10 years for myself, and for Jack and Sherry, just a little bit longer than that. But the impact that it's made on our lives and our patients' lives have been truly astonishing. And it has surpassed all my other supplements and become my alpha supplement, because when signaling doesn't happen, not much else happens. So this is the time for us all to have our next level breakthrough when it comes to our health and our healing and maintaining that health. And ASEA is going to be the solution that's going to give you the time to shine. So thank you so much for joining us.